Okay, welcome to my home. If you hadn't seen the prior video of my workshop, you can take a look at that. We are now up in the house and I wanted to show some of my completed pieces. Let's come into this room and I'll show you, start with some of my eagles. These are the Bellamy eagles that we talked about in the prior video. I showed you how I rough them out and get them to a rough stage. These are completed eagles which have been finished, carved, gold leafed, and painted. I do a lot of different styles. The banners, like I said, can be personalized, and some of the ones I sell have the names of the owner or the state motto, Christmas, or different holiday references. This is kind of a Christmassy eagle I completed about a month ago. It's my own design, and it's based obviously on the Bellamy style, but I added the holly and wreath part down at the bottom. Let's see, I'll show some of the pieces in here. Here's another eagle, Virginia State motto, which is great. This is a southern piece. It is called a sugar chest. It was used in the 18th, 19th century for storing sugar, coffee, different items. They often had a divider in the middle. And this is curly maple. I did some inlay, banding. There are some sand-shaded fans, which I make from scratch. Dovetails, of course, and got a drawer down here. I will move over to, this is a Chinese Chippendale style silver chest, which is just a very basic piece, which has got straight lines, no fancy carving or anything, but it's a very functional piece. I do a lot of Chippendale mirrors. I've probably done about 15 of those, mostly smaller ones, and they're fun to make. Probably the only other piece that I've kind of done a mass production type of process. Here is a curly maple humidor. Again, I've got the linenberry style inlay with the black lines and the berries. And it is a humidor, so it's got Spanish cedar lining and a very tight seal. It goes in as like a whisper tight seal. This is a lowboy, one of my first pieces I made when I was learning, and great piece to make. You learn a lot. It's got some shell carvings, fan carvings. The trifid feet, a style of feet that Ray Jornigan will be teaching at one of my classes this summer up in Maine. Actually, Ray will give a choice of a trifid or a ball and claw foot for a stool. This is a Chippendale style pie crust tilt top table. It's got the so-called bird cage, and it locks down, rotates for a formal tea service. This is a very nice piece of mahogany with some nice figure in it. I use potassium dichromate as a finish, which really brings out the tannins and get those real dark streaks. Carved ball and claw feet and some acanthus, basic simple acanthus style on the knees. We can go into the hallway here and show you some of my completed Bellamy eagles. I've got them all out. They're not normally on display like this, but this is a pretty elaborate eagle with the draped flags and the sash and whatnot. And you can see what it's like after it's been painted and gold leafed. Up here I've got a sort of a classic style Bellamy. I make these up to 6 feet long. Folks like them on their entryways to their homes. And they really look nice when the sun shines off, reflects off, they just glow. It's a very beautiful in the sunlight. And the gold leaf really withstands the elements. Doesn't need to be covered. It's holds up really well outside. This is actually a piece I made pretty early on. I made this on my kitchen table. And it's a Newport style tall clock with some carving. And yeah, this took a long time because I really didn't have much in the way of tools when I made it. But it was quite a project. This is a hunt table or a sideboard. Again, sort of a southern style piece. Really just got some beautiful figured maple. And it's really the highlight, I think, is just the wood in this piece. I make tea caddies. I've done a number of tea caddies. These are really fun because it's a small amount of wood, but a tremendous amount of detail. In the prior video in my shop, I talked a little bit about some of the banding, and this is rope banding. We'll do a tutorial. If you subscribe to the site, we'll be doing a tutorial on how I make the rope banding. This is, again, a tea caddy, so it's got the traditional tin lining, and I like to do the cove molding. This is different woods, ebony, curly maple, made some bandings. Lots and lots of detail in a very small space. And the little boxes with a sand shaded fan, more banding, inlay, dovetails, lots of detail on these. So it's a fun project. Let's move into this next room, and I could show some of my federal, some federal pieces. I've made a series of 8 federal tables. This is one of the last ones I made. Fine Woodworking will be doing a master class that'll go through the tables, and each one I added more complexity, was learning new techniques as I went, and just lots of detail, lots of inlay. The inlay I cut mostly by hand with radius cutters. For the curved parts, the straight parts, I usually use a Dremel tool and a StuMac base. I do the shaded fans. I make those in batches. It's fairly time consuming. So this has got a lot of different types of inlay, curly maple. The banding, which just means that the grain direction is running all the way around the edges going outward, is continuous. It's a little detail, but it's something that I try to do. So it basically wraps around 3 ways. That requires 3 separate pieces, and you just do your best to line that up. So when it's not set up with chess pieces, these fold down for a smaller table. And it's got the little sliding, sliders there. My grandson and I love to play chess. Felt line drawer. I use curly maple for the sides. No point in skimping there. And I like the little pointy dovetails, which you can only cut by hand. It's got federal style legs and some ebony veneer down on the bottom. Some little banding, a cuff banding here. I did the inlay on all 4 sides. So a lot of techniques involved in this piece. This is a Federal style inlaid coffee table with a copy of Moby Dick on it. We needed a coffee table, so I thought, okay, I'll just work on something I hadn't done before. So for me, it was fairly new to make that curved, the curved apron. I used curly cherry as the primary wood, curly cherry veneer for the sides. Did some Sheraton style legs, made a jig to route out those. As before, we have shaded fans and lots of banding. This design on top I just came up with. It's kind of subtle in some ways, but it was fun to come up with that design. And it's clearly handmade. If you look too close, this is definitely not a perfect oval, but the table is, but not the banding. So it'll be no question that it was not made in a factory. I've got a photo album with really pretty much everything, just about everything I've made is in here. All the furniture I've made is on my website, lineandberry.com. But I keep an album that just with different things, articles I've had. I've been in early American life a few times, etc. So if you want to see my stuff, you can go on my website. I do a lot on Instagram. I do little tutorials on different techniques, and if I'm doing something interesting, I'll try to get it on Instagram or put it on my website. Wood and Shop will also be putting photos and links to just about everything we've mentioned as well. So keep an eye on that, and there'll be lots of links there as well. Here's some more eagles, more vertical style Bellamy eagle, which is, again, lots of paint and flag drapes and whatnot. Again, just a classic style. Here's one with a banner, and again, folks really like the banners because you can put anything you want, and I can carve letters or paint them. This is a piece I put on a Lazy Susan just so we could see it better. It's a spice box, which is really pretty much my own design. Everything is historically based that I make, but I came up with this design. It started off as a John Elliott footstool. So if you, from here on down, it's a footstool. It's a John Elliott, it's a sort of iconic Philadelphia Chippendale footstool. And I decided, since I was making lots of spice boxes at the time, just to keep going with this piece. So I kept going up, and I've ended up with this pretty massive piece. This is very interesting because it's got, I think, about 12 secret compartments. It might be 14. It's really over the top, but I just had a lot of fun. Every potential space in this piece, I made a secret compartment. So we will be doing a separate video, and we'll go through this piece, and I'll show you all of the no longer secret compartments. And I think that'll be fun. Stay tuned for that. There's lots of things to look at there. Here's another tea caddy, federal style, like the other one. Lots of inlay and veneer. This one is primarily curly cherry, and I'll show you the little boxes inside. This has got a curved, striped banding, which was an idea I had in my head. I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's been used, but it was a lot of fun to make. It was a little tricky, but it was a fun project. Once again, little boxes that have a fair amount of detail. This is just a design I came up with, kind of match the rest of the inlay. And the little boxes are for holding tea. We can come into the next room, and I have a few pieces here to show. Another spice box. This is just very similar to, I think, about 6 boxes I made. Really beautiful figured maple, and pretty much the same design as some of the other ones. I like the OG feet. Here is a Chester County style box, curly cherry again, linenberry inlay. They were used customarily for documents or Bibles. And this one has got ball feet, small ball feet, or bun feet. I did monograms. This was one I made for myself. It's got my initials and my wife's initials on the 2 sides. So it was an anniversary box. That piece won an award in popular woodworking. Chest of drawers of mahogany. This is a very simple piece. One of the early pieces I made. I think it was one of the first 3 pieces. Dovetails, cock beading around the drawers. I use cock beading every chance I can. I really like it. I was using a lot of hand molding planes for this piece. So I did the moldings with hand tools. Let's go into the kitchen as our final stop. I have a few pieces here I'd like to show. Again, the Windsor chairs, made a lot of these. We have a couple that we've kept for ourselves. Another spice box. My wife uses this as a jewelry box. This has got some black, very simple linenberry inlay. Little accent line inlaid. I do, as I mentioned, a lot of Chippendale style mirrors. These mirrors are based on the Steve Latta style or article that he wrote, which was great. Yeah, the wood is veneered. This is a crotch walnut. I've used a lot of different veneers for these mirrors. Curly maple. I've used Macore, Madrone, maple burl, different very striking figured woods. These are some more federal tables that will be in that article. This was one of the first ones, which is just the basic prototype. And again, very nice curly maple. The legs I made particularly delicate. I just sort of like the look. It is a very, a delicate look, which I kind of liked. I don't like real fat legs. So this piece is got some really nice crotch walnut veneer, and it is a Pembroke style folding table. I've got little here we go. There we go. I've got little drawer supports. I tried to make them as out of the way as possible, so you really couldn't see them when the leaves are up. This has got a curved front. It's got a quilted maple veneer, lots of banding, satin wood on the leg posts, a turned Sheraton reeded style legs, again fairly delicate. So again, this is just one of the series of 8 federal tables that I made. And I think that pretty much covers most of what I wanted to show in the house. We will be going back down to the shop. I can do a few little videos that you can, if you subscribe, you'll be able to see. I'll cover some of the topics in more depth, some inlay, some line and bury work. I'll talk about the serpentine chest and how I made the drawers, veneer. I'll cover some finishing and a little bit about how I rub out a piece to complete the finish. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate that, and please do subscribe to the channel because there'll be a lot more. Thank you.
If you're interested in woodworking with a mix of hand tools and power tools, visit my website at woodandshop.com, where you can find a bunch of free woodworking lessons, workshop tours of amazing woodworkers, and our very popular tool buying guides. Make sure you subscribe to my free newsletter and check out my 10 steps for getting started in woodworking. Enjoy!